Hey guys, here are the top 5 things I wish I had known before I started losing my hair. And if you like this type of video, please like and subscribe and watch to the end because the last thing I'm going to talk about I think is the best. First, I wish I had known just how much it was going to impact me mentally. When I first started to lose my hair, it was something that became all-consuming. It was something I thought about all the time. It got to the point where I'd even be driving my car and I'd have to check the rearview mirror constantly just to see how my hair looked. I'd have to brush it to the side, fix it, even though I was in the car by myself. I would constantly make trips to the bathroom just to check the mirror and see how my hair looked. The greatest impact it had was on my confidence. I had never had lower self-esteem than when I was losing my hair. I assumed that my dating life was completely over, and I also assumed that whenever people were talking to me, they were noticing my hair loss and judging me for it. I thought that because I thought about it so much, obviously everybody else was thinking it too. And so when I interacted with people, I just knew in the back of my mind they must be judging me for my thinning hairline or the bald patch on the back of my head. And this really leads me into number 2, which is that I wish I knew how hypersensitive I would become to hair loss. But because it was something I thought about all the time, I simply assumed everybody else was too. And of course, while I noticed my own hair loss, I did start to notice it in others as well. But as I've gotten a little older and a little wiser, I realized that just because it was something I was thinking about so much didn't mean that anybody else was thinking about it nearly as much, if at all. As an example, I know someone who is more concerned about their weight and therefore notices that aspect in themselves and in others more than anything else. And this was really a light bulb moment for me when I heard this, because that's not something I think about at all if I meet other people. I'm not thinking about their weight one bit. That's not even something that crosses my mind. I've realized that most people are much more concerned with their own lives and their own problems. They're spending their own mental energy thinking about the things in their lives, and they're not nearly as concerned about the things that you think might be a problem with your own self. And I also realized that if there are other people who are noticing that you're losing your hair, it's probably because they're losing theirs as well, and they are also hypersensitive to it. So they're not going to be making fun of you or feeling bad for you. They're going to be empathizing with you and realizing that you're both going through the same thing. The third thing I wish I knew before losing my hair was that I didn't have to go through it alone. I'll be honest, I was actually embarrassed that losing my hair was causing me so much internal anguish. In the back of my mind, I always knew that there are much worse things that could be happening, and there are much worse things that are happening to others out there. And so my little hair loss problem really shouldn't be that big of a deal. And yet at the same time, it really was to me. It was all consuming for me. But because I was so torn between these two, I never felt like I could reach out to anybody, because in the back of my mind, I assumed people would just say it's not that big of a deal and then later judge me for even bringing it up. Of course, I know now that this isn't the case at all, and I've had friends and family members tell me that they wish they knew just how much it was bothering me at the time so that they could have helped me. I even had other people that I knew that were losing their hair, and it never crossed my mind to talk to them about it because from the outside it just seemed like they were handling it so much better than I was, when in reality they were having the same internal struggle that I was. So I highly encourage you to reach out to a friend or family member or counselor or therapist, but just make sure that you're getting this off your chest. Make sure that you're processing this by talking it out, and this will help you immensely to move on with your life. Number 4 is that I wish I knew how much of a relief it was going to be to shave my head. When my hair was thinning, I was almost embarrassed just to be out in public because I assumed that people were constantly looking at my hair, seeing how thin it was in the front, noticing the bald patch in the back, and judging me for it. I was always hyper conscious if somebody was standing behind me because I thought they could see the back of my head, and if I was talking to somebody, I assumed that they would be looking up at my thinning hairline, and it really gave me a lot of anxiety. I had a ton of anxiousness just built up in me just being out in public. But the simple act of shaving my head made it feel like I made the conscious decision to be bald, and now I could be out in public confidently because it was my choice to do this. And it may sound hard to believe if you haven't taken the leap yet yourself, but again, the simple act of shaving my head it was like all of those insecurities went out the window, and I felt so much better about being out in public, talking to people, whether it's friends or coworkers or people I don't even know. I no longer have that little anxious thought in the back of my mind that somebody is noticing my thinning hair. And that really leads me into number 5, which is that I actually really love having a shaved head. The longer I've had it, the more I've enjoyed it. I've started to like the way it looks more and more, and I feel more confident with this look now than I did when I had a full head of hair in my late teens. On top of that, it's incredibly convenient. It's super easy to get ready. I never have to worry about being outside in the wind and the rain, messing up my hair. I always know exactly what I look like when I'm out in public. I hope you found this video helpful. Again, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.